There's a silent weight in the air right now, isn't there? Like something is ending on its own, but you're still pretending you have a choice about when you'll let go. That's right. Maybe you've been avoiding certain conversations with yourself lately, filling every free second with distraction, wondering why everything feels so unfinished, so stuck between two places, so impossible to resolve. Maybe you've caught yourself looking at the calendar more often than usual, calculating how many days are left, as if time was going to solve this for you. Well, let me tell you something that's going to sound brutal right now. These last days of the year aren't just another passage of time on your calendar. They're not just another collection of hours you're going to cross while waiting for January to bring a clean restart. These days are the only space left for you to close something before the system closes it for you. Not because the universe decided to give you an ultimatum, not because you're finally going to find courage out of nowhere, but because you're about to discover something that's been operating behind the scenes all along. See, most people think the end of the year is about preparing for the new. They believe it's when you make promises, when you plan fresh starts, when life finally gives you a blank page. But it's exactly the opposite. January is when people make promises. December is when people should be closing what's already dead. And the difference between these two things is everything. Right now, while everyone else is planning their resolutions, while the world is preparing for celebration and renewal, you're facing something most people never confront directly. The conscious closure of something that cannot cross over with you. That silent pressure you feel when a cycle is ending, but you haven't yet processed what needs to stay behind. You've probably already noticed that your tolerance for continuing to carry certain things is reaching its limit. Internal conversations that used to seem normal now drain all your energy. Patterns you used to sustain now feel unsustainable. Versions of yourself you used to maintain without questioning suddenly feel impossible to carry for one more day. This isn't you becoming weak or unstable. This is your system warning you that something needs to be closed before the calendar turns. Think about the last few months of your life. Really think about them. How many times did you catch yourself trying to keep alive something that had already died inside? How many times did you postpone a clear closure because it was easier to live in suspension? How many times did you choose to drag something into the next cycle because facing the end seemed impossible? All of that was a warning. All that sense of weight you've been feeling, that restlessness, that inability to feel whole, it wasn't random. It was functional. The closure you're avoiding isn't going to look like what you think it should look like. It's not going to be dramatic or social media worthy or something you can easily explain to other people. It's going to be quiet and internal and absolutely necessary. It's going to happen in the small moments when you finally stop negotiating with something that's already over. When you stop asking for permission to accept what you've always known was true. Most people spend December in survival mode. They're managing family dynamics, meeting year-end deadlines, juggling social obligations, counting down the days until they can finally rest. But you're not most people. You're about to use December as the last conscious space to not carry into the next year what should have already been left behind. Here's what nobody tells you about timing. The end of the calendar doesn't create opportunities for change. Your willingness to close what needs to be closed creates those opportunities. And that willingness, that readiness, that silent pressure that's been growing inside you is reaching its critical point right now. You know that feeling when you've been carrying something heavy for so long, you don't even notice the weight anymore until you finally put it down. That's what's about to happen with your entire life. You've been operating with provisional identities and versions of yourself that were useful during the year, but were never made to cross over with you. And December is when you can finally let that die consciously. The people around you are going to notice something different about you this month. They won't be able to articulate what it is at first. Maybe they'll say, "You seem more resolved, more closed off, more absent." Maybe they'll comment that you're making different choices, reacting differently to the same old patterns. Some will celebrate this shift. Others will resist it because your closure forces them to confront what they're also postponing. Both reactions are perfect information. What's happening right now isn't just personal growth. It's not just you getting your life together or finally figuring things out. What's happening is you're being confronted with something you've known for a while. Something ended internally and you can't take it into the next cycle. December is going to strip away everything that was never really yours to begin with. The borrowed identities, the inherited narratives, the secondhand fears you've been carrying around as if they were part of you. This month is going to reveal what remains when you stop postponing the end of something that's already dead. And what remains is going to surprise you. The best part about what's coming isn't the external changes, though those will happen too. The best part is how you're going to feel when you stop dragging dead weight. How you're going to move through the world without that feeling of carrying something that no longer belongs to you. How you're going to make decisions from a place of clarity instead of suspension. How you're going to stop asking time for permission to do what should have already been done. This December closure isn't something you need to force or achieve through effort. It's something you allow by finally stopping your resistance to what's already happening. Your resistance to the end hasn't been weakness. It's been self-preservation. Your nervous system was protecting you from a closure you weren't ready to process. But something fundamental has shifted in your capacity over these past months. You've been building internal strength without even realizing it. Every time you felt the weight and didn't collapse. Every time you recognized something ended, but still didn't have the courage to close it. Every time you lived in suspension instead of forcing a false resolution. All of that was preparation for what's about to unfold. December is going to feel different from the moment you wake up. Not because external circumstances have magically improved, but because you're going to start operating from a frequency you've only glimpsed before. That frequency where closure feels obvious instead of impossible. Where letting go happens without drama or explanation. Where you naturally gravitate toward what can cross over with you and naturally repel what's already dead. You're going to notice that conversations you used to avoid become irrelevant or surprisingly easy to have. Situations that used to consume your mental energy will resolve themselves with minimal input from you. Clarity that was invisible before will start appearing everywhere. Not because it wasn't always there, but because you're finally tuned into the right channel to receive it. The strangest thing about this closure is how natural it's going to feel. You're not going to wake up feeling like a completely different person. You're going to wake up feeling like yourself, but without all the suspension, without all the internal negotiation and exhausting effort to keep alive what's already dead. It's like someone finally adjusted the frequency and now everything is coming through clearly. People are going to start treating you differently this month, and it's going to catch you off guard at first. They're going to respect your boundaries without you having to fight for them. They're going to accept your closures without pushing back. They're going to seek your opinion on things they never asked you about before. This isn't because you become more assertive or learned better communication skills. This is what happens when you stop broadcasting suspension and start transmitting conscious closure. Your December closure is happening whether you believe in it or not, whether you feel ready or not, whether you understand it or not. It doesn't depend on your faith or your effort or your ability to understand everything in advance. It's happening because you've reached a point where maintaining suspension requires more energy than closing. And energy always flows toward the path of least resistance. The relationships that should evolve with you will start deepening without you having to work at them. The ones that were only surviving on your negotiation will naturally fade without drama or confrontation. New connections will appear that feel effortless and authentic from the very first conversation. This isn't you becoming selective or antisocial. This is you finally operating at your natural frequency and attracting what matches it. You're going to start making choices this month that will surprise even you, saying yes to closures you would have avoided before, walking away from commitments that no longer serve, speaking up in situations where you used to stay silent, following impulses that seem risky but somehow completely right. These aren't going to feel like bold moves or major decisions. They're going to feel like the most natural thing in the world. The projects that have been draining you will transform or leave your life completely. New opportunities will surface that actually utilize your gifts instead of just your willingness to carry dead weight. Money will start flowing more easily. Not because you learned some new strategy, but because you stop blocking it with old stories about what you need to keep carrying. Your physical environment is going to start reflecting this internal closure. You'll find yourself rearranging spaces, discarding things, creating room for what wants to emerge. Your body is going to feel different too. Lighter, more energized, more at home in your own skin. Sleep will come easier, food will taste better. Movement will feel like joy instead of obligation. the most profound change will be in your relationship with time itself. You'll stop feeling behind. Stop rushing towards some imaginary finish line. Stop living in future tense. December is going to teach you how to be fully present in your own closure. And presence is where all clarity lives. When you're truly here, really here, everything you need becomes available. Every answer you've been seeking reveals itself. Every resource you require materializes. This isn't fantasy or wishful thinking. This is what happens when you finally stop fighting against closure and start moving with the river of your own ending. December is that river, and you're about to discover just how powerful the flow can be when you surrender to it instead of swimming upstream. So here you are, standing at the threshold of what might be the most important closure of your life. Not because December has some mystical power, but because you finally developed the capacity to receive what's been waiting for you all along. The restlessness you've been feeling, that quiet dissatisfaction, that sense that something needs to end. All of it has been leading to this moment. Your December closure isn't something you need to chase or force or figure out. It's something you allow by simply showing up as yourself. Without the masks, without the performance, without the exhausting effort to keep alive what's already dead. The person you're becoming has been knocking at the door of your consciousness for months. And December is when you finally open it. Everything changes when you stop resisting what needs to be closed through you. And if you're here, if these words have been resonating differently than they would have a few weeks ago, then you already know what I know. This isn't just another motivational message. This is a recognition of something that's already happening, something that's been building beneath the surface of your consciousness. December isn't going to be the best month of your life because everything suddenly becomes perfect. It's going to be the most important month because you're finally going to stop negotiating with what's already over. And that closure, that alignment, that silent revolution happening inside you right now is where everything begins. Or rather, it's where something finally ends so the next cycle doesn't have to carry the weight of dead identities. You'll only see this once, and after the year ends, the choice won't be yours anymore.